All right, welcome to this explainer. Today we're unpacking a massive industrial disaster that really sent shockwaves through the manufacturing world recently. We're looking at the completely devastating fire that hit the Paracoat Products factory down in the Hosur SIPCOT industrial estate. I always find it fascinating to break down events like this because there's just so much happening beneath the headline. We're not just going to look at the sheer, terrifying scale of the blaze itself, but we'll also dig into the corporate giant behind the factory and the really specific, kind of ironic science of why this fire was so unbelievably difficult to put out. So let's jump right in.
Look at this. Sound ideas for silence. That's the official motto for Paracoat Products. It's a catchy little mission statement for a company that literally engineers quietness for the automotive industry. But I bring this up first because it stands in such a dark, stark contrast to what actually went down on what was supposed to be a quiet Tuesday evening.
I mean, it's a wild shift, right? On one hand, you've got a facility whose entire existence is dedicated to manufacturing acoustic silence, literally making materials designed to absorb noise and vibration. And then reality hits. That Tuesday turned into a chaotic, roaring, totally deafening 10-hour inferno. It was so big it required a massive regional emergency response. The irony is just, it's heavy. And the financial hit? It's absolutely staggering. The Krishnagiri Superintendent of Police, G.S. Anita, estimated the toll of this disaster at a massive 50 crore rupees in losses. 50 crore. That is a monumental, catastrophic hit for any manufacturing plant. But to really grasp how 50 crore just goes up in smoke, we need to look at the timeline.
Which brings us to the first part of our explainer, battling the 10-hour blaze.
Picture this. It's about 7 p.m., and a fire breaks out in the factory's storage section. What started as a localized outbreak very quickly spiraled into an absolute monster of a fire. I mean, it raged completely out of control through the entire night. It wasn't until 5 a.m. the next morning that rescue services, who were undoubtedly pushed to the absolute brink of exhaustion, finally wrestled this thing into submission. 10 full hours of continuous destruction. But here is the part that is literally a miracle. Despite the overwhelming scale of the fire and how aggressively it spread, every single person got out. District Collector C. Dinesh Kumar and the SP confirmed that all 150 employees who were on the premises at the time managed to escape completely unharmed. In an industrial fire of this magnitude, 0 casualties is just incredible. It really speaks volumes about their evacuation protocols kicking in when it mattered most. Now, to get those 150 people out safely and eventually kill the fire, the emergency response had to be massive. The heat and intensity required more than 7 fire tenders, plus they had to bring in extra water tankers and even tractors. And they couldn't just rely on Hosur stations. They literally had to mobilize forces from surrounding districts like Rayakata and Denkanakare just to throw enough manpower and water at the flames. Section 2. 50 crore in ashes. Let's look at the aftermath.
So the big question, the one we're all obviously wondering, is what actually sparked this? How does a facility of this size, with this level of operational scale, just catch fire so rapidly?
Well, based on the initial reports, authorities are saying preliminary investigations suspect an electrical short circuit. But the police are being very thorough here. They've made it clear they are actively investigating whether any human negligence or underlying technical faults played a role. They're basically leaving no stone unturned to figure out exactly what went wrong.
Which leads us to Section 3. Who exactly are Paracoat Products? To understand the weight of this loss, you really have to know the company.
Paracoat isn't some newcomer. They were founded way back in 1974. They're absolute trailblazers in what the industry calls NVH solutions. That's noise, vibration, and harshness. If you've ever driven a modern car and thought, wow, it's really quiet in here compared to cars from 20 years ago, well, you have companies exactly like Paracoat to thank for that. They spent over 4 decades perfecting this highly specific engineering niche.
And we are not just talking about a local operation here. They run 5 advanced manufacturing plants to keep up with massive global automotive demand. Just in India, they have plants in Biawadi, Pune, Halol, and, of course, this one in Hosur. They even operate internationally with a facility in Thailand. It's a massive, incredibly coordinated supply chain. You really see their dominance when you look at their clients. They supply over 40 leading original equipment manufacturers globally. We're talking the titans of the auto world: Maruti Suzuki, Honda, Hyundai, Volkswagen, Toyota, Tata. If there's a car rolling off an assembly line, there's a very good chance Paracoat helped make it comfortable.
Actually, to put their market grip into perspective, check this out. Paracoat solutions are so widely used that they're in 9 out of 10 cars produced in India today. 9 out of 10. Think about that. A major disruption at one of their plants, say a 10-hour inferno, has the potential to ripple out and impact almost the entire Indian automotive sector. We've got official industry validation documents backing up this scale. This performa, which notes their operations, verifies they employ a workforce of around 500 people and crank out highly specific products, things like anti-vibration pads, melt sheets, and dashboard insulators. And keep those products in mind, because they are absolutely central to the story of the fire itself. That brings us to Section 4, the irony of materials. So here is the tragic irony laid out. Step 1. Paracoat makes these NVH solutions, rubber anti-vibration pads, melt sheets. Step 2. To make those, they have to store massive quantities of rubber and chemical-based acoustic materials, which is exactly where the fire started at 7 p.m. Step 3. Those very materials, which are engineered to be super dense to absorb sound, suddenly became highly combustible, volatile fuel. The exact products they specialized in became the perfect fuel for the blaze. Because of that, this was absolutely not your standard building fire. The district collector explicitly pointed out that these rubber and chemical materials aggressively fueled the flames. He even called it one of the toughest operations they have handled in recent times. See, when dense rubber and complex chemicals catch fire, they burn incredibly hot, they burn deep, and they are notoriously stubborn against standard firefighting methods. That extreme volatility is exactly why this took so long to put out. The fire crews from 3 different districts had to continuously pump water, non-stop, for 10 grueling hours just to contain it. They weren't just fighting burning wood or drywall, they were basically battling a localized chemical and rubber volcano. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this thought. When a company is so successful that it builds components for 9 out of 10 cars on the road, they are undeniably essential to modern life. But how do we balance that incredible industrial market dominance with the highly volatile, combustible nature of the raw materials that actually make it possible? It is a serious tightrope walk of industrial safety. I really hope breaking this down gave you a new perspective on the hidden risks behind the everyday products we use. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.